Hi guys, Camille here from Renovation Training, and today we're going to talk about the flexible dieting approach. We're going to cover the benefits, the rules, walk you through an in-depth tutorial using the My Macros Plus app. I'll leave you with some tips to help you along the way. And our goal with this video is to simplify the process in which you track your nutrition so that you can better hit your fitness goals. So let's first talk about the benefits of using a flexible dieting approach. One of the main benefits to tracking macros and calories is the flexibility that it allows you to choose foods that are not only convenient to you, but that you also enjoy as well. There are no longer restricted diets where foods are off limits anymore. Flexible dieting allows you to structure your meal plan to fit your lifestyle instead of adjusting your lifestyle to fit your meal plan. So with that being said, there are a few guidelines and rules to help you hit this plan with the best success, but we'll go over those later in the video. The second main benefit of tracking your macros is going to be the awareness aspect of your nutrition. So the more that you track your calories and macros, the more you're going to have a better understanding of what foods contain what macronutrients and how they serve you and your body. The third major benefit to tracking your macros is going to be the sustainability of it, because you get to choose the foods that go into your plan, and it's no longer a fad diet that you just can't stick to, and it's just not sustainable for the long run. So now that we've gone over the benefits of tracking your macros, let's jump into the aspects of how to follow them. The components of flexible dieting include tracking your total calories, your total macronutrients, into your app called My Macros Plus. Before we dive into the app tutorial, let's talk about what is a macronutrient. So macronutrients are what our body needs in large quantities. We are going to be talking about proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Proteins are going to be the building blocks of muscles within our body, and fats and carbohydrates are going to serve as a fuel source for our body to do exercise and survive. Each one of these macronutrients has a certain calorie equivalent. So for example, 1 gram of carbohydrates has 4 calories. 1 gram of protein also has 4 calories. For every 1 gram of fat, there is 9 calories. That's more than double the proteins and the carbs. So it's important to understand where these numbers are coming from so that we can calculate our total calories and understand the association between calories and our macros. It's important to highlight that your caloric needs are going to be very different from the people around you. I would advise that you seek out professional guidance when it comes to choosing your macronutrient goals. Now, if you need help with this, don't hesitate to reach out. We offer this as part of our online services. Now, once you have your macronutrients established, the next step is getting comfortable with the app. We like to use the app called My Macros Plus, as this is my favorite tracking app. The next step is we're going to talk about the goal of tracking our macros. So the overall idea for tracking your macros is to track your meals, snacks, and drinks throughout the day. So in this app, it not only tracks your total calories, but also the macronutrients associated with the foods that you're entering. So as you enter in your daily meals, these numbers are going to take away from your daily allowance of protein, fats, and carbs. So your goal is to come within 5 grams of protein, fats, and carbs so that you can stay on track to hit your fitness goals. So now that you know the objective of why we track macros, let's dive into how we actually do it. So when it comes to measuring your food, we recommend that you stick with using grams and ounces as your measurement sizes as opposed to cups and tablespoons, as there can be a larger room for error when it comes to the volume versus the weight of the food. The second biggest distinction we're going to want to make when it comes to measuring is that the number we're looking for on the scale is different from the number that we're looking for on the macros. So for example, 22 grams of rice does not equal 22 grams of carbohydrates. You're going to want to look to your nutrition label for further specification on your serving size of your food. The third distinction is important to highlight is when you're measuring your food is if you're going to enter it in before you cook it or after you cook it. You're going to want to make sure you look at your nutrition label for further specification if it calls out whether it's uncooked or cooked as your measurement. Alright. Now let's talk about the 7 rules you must follow if you want to hit the best results. Rule number 1, always track before you eat. Make sure it goes into your app before it goes into your mouth, this way you'll never go over. Which brings us to rule number 2, which is making sure that you're coming within 5 grams of your protein, fats, and carbs by the end of your night. Rule number 3 is going to be making sure that you have protein in all of your meals throughout the day to help aid in digestion. Rule number 4 is making sure that you have an ample amount of fruits and vegetables in your diet. Rule number 5, you're going to want to make sure that you're consuming enough water throughout the day. Rule number 6, if you're going to consume alcohol, make sure you're including it in your macros. You simply take the total amount of calories and you divide it by 4 to give you the amount of carbohydrates equivalent, or you divide it by 9 to give you the amount of fats that it's equivalent to. Rule number 7, if you're going to eat at a restaurant, make sure to pack your food scale, and you're going to want to add 2 tablespoons of oil to your macros to account for the fats that the food is being cooked in. Now that we know the rules, let's dive into how to use the app to track your food. Alright, let's get started with the in-app tutorial. Using your phone or tablet, go to the App Store and download the app called My Macros Plus. Once you have the app downloaded, you're going to want to open the app, and then it's going to walk you through some demo slides of how to use the app. Alright, let's get started by setting up your nutritional goals with your custom macros. You're going to start by clicking in the top 3 buttons in the upper right hand corner of the app, and this will open up the display screen, and you're going to click on the app settings. Next, we're going to click on Set Nutritional Goals, and then we're going to click on Add New Macro Goal. Here, we're going to name our meal. I'm going to call this Phase 1. Next, you'll enter in your protein, fats, and carbs. Our protein here is going to be 150. Our carbs are going to be 200. And our fats are going to be 67. Next, we're going to click Save. And then it's going to ask us if we would like to apply these now. We're going to click Yes. Now that you're done, you can click Done and back out of the menus. Next, let's set up the global food options. You're going to start by clicking on the upper 3 bars in the upper left-hand corner of your menu, and then you're going to click Search. And here you're going to want to click on the settings wheel in the upper right-hand corner. So now that we're here, you see the global search option. Let's go ahead and turn that on to give you a larger food selection library. And then we'll arrow back to get us back to the main screen. Alright, let's get started by entering in our first meal of the day. You're going to open up the top tab on the left-hand corner of the screen and open up this sidebar. From here, let's start off with search, and we're going to begin entering in our first foods for the day. So for breakfast, I had egg whites. So let's go ahead and search for that. And when you're here, you're going to want to make sure to look on the right-hand column of the screen to see which measurement that they're using. So for example, I measure mine in cups. So again, it's going to show you a couple tutorials on what things to look at. And again, you're going to want to make sure you're looking at the serving size, which meal you're selecting, and you can choose whichever one you want to do there. And if you need to make any edits, you can certainly do so by looking at the pencil in the top portion of the screen. Next, let's start by entering in what else I had for breakfast. I'm going to search for oatmeal. And again, make sure you're looking at all of the different serving size options listed on the right hand of the screen, and you can scroll down and see what other options they are. I measured out my oatmeal in 1/2 cup dry, so I'm going to go with this option. Again, you're going to want to take a look at the protein, fats, and carbs for each meal whenever you enter it for a couple reasons. First, this is going to help to make sure that the food is accurately entered, and 2, it's going to help you to grow your knowledge about the food before you enter it. So you're starting to learn which foods contain what macronutrients. Alright, I have my oatmeal, let's add that to breakfast. That's all I had for breakfast, so I'm going to go back to the main screen and check on my daily totals. As you can see here, you can edit the food you've just added if you've incorrectly added the serving size or you need to adjust something. You can also swipe left on any meal name or food option to see more options such as delete or save or copy. At the end of every meal, you're going to see the total macros for that meal. And again, this will help to build your macro knowledge about your nutrients. Let's continue by entering in the next meal of the day. Again, open up the side tab on the left, select search, and begin entering what you're looking for. I'm going to search for my carbohydrate first, and I'm going to use my white rice. I measured this today in cups, so I'm going to click on my white rice, measured in cups, with my quick minute rice. I only had a half a cup of this for my lunch, so I'm going to adjust the serving size and enter in 0.5. And I didn't have this for breakfast, but I had it for lunch, so I'm going to adjust the meal as well. Once I've got that and everything looks right, click the check mark to bring me back to my search screen. I had this with ground turkey, so I'm going to go ahead and search for that. I actually had 5 ounces of this, so I'm going to select the ground turkey that's measured in 1 ounce so that I can update my serving size to 5 ounces. I'm going to keep that with my lunch, and then now I'm going to enter in my greens. Green beans, I'm going to enter in 1 cup. My brand is not specific. Let's go ahead and click that check mark to add it to my lunch. All right, now that we've entered another meal, let's click cancel and go back to our overall totals to see what we have. All right, as you can see at the top of the screen, you can see that we have 75 protein left, 121 carbs, and 62.5 fats left. All right, so let's continue on by entering in our next snack. Before my pre-workout, I had some pineapple. Let's search for that. And I had 1 cup of pineapple. And let's put that in my pre-workout meal. And I also had that with a protein bar. All right, now that you've entered in your breakfast, lunch, pre and post workout, and maybe some snacks, then it gets to the last meal of the day, and this can definitely be the trickiest, but I'm gonna walk you through kind of the steps you're gonna wanna think about when you're entering in your foods. So for dinner, I want ground turkey and some potatoes. So I'm gonna search for turkey in my search bar here. I'm going to adjust the serving size and look for grams. All right, and here let's start with 150 grams of turkey for dinner and see where we're at. Done, and then check mark. All right, and I know I'm going to have potatoes, so let's enter that in as well. All right, there's the red potatoes that are measured in grams. Let's go with that one. Now let's start with 200 grams and see where that puts us at for dinner. Click done, and then that check mark in the upper right hand corner. And then let's arrow back to our main screen and check our daily totals. So it looks like we still have some more food to add, so let's go back and adjust our serving sizes. So I'm going to scroll down to my dinner, and I'm going to adjust my turkey. Let's see what 200 grams puts us at. Done, check. Back up to the top. Looks like we went over on our protein and our fats, so let's go ahead and adjust that serving size to pull us back down within our ratios. Let's try 175. Done, check mark. Scroll back up to the top. It looks like we still have some carbs remaining. Let's go and adjust the serving size of our potatoes to see where that puts us. Again, we're starting with 200, so let's try what 250 looks like. Done, check mark. And let's go back up to the top, and it looks like we nailed it. So when it comes to the last meal, you're going to want to check those daily totals to see how close you're getting, and then just simply adjust the serving size, either up or down. And with grams, it's really easy because you can get very, very close, as you can see, to your daily totals. You are given the restrictions to come within 5 grams of each of your protein, fats, and carbs, but just know that the closer you can be is better. And that's how you hit your macros for the day. Tracking your food using the flexible dieting approach allows you to have the flexibility to place your meals and macros at different times than you might have previously had with a meal plan. For example, you could have more fats at the beginning of the day and have more carbs towards the end of the day if you wanted, or vice versa. It really depends on your preference. I still would recommend keeping protein evenly distributed throughout the day to avoid having large amounts to consume right before bed. I also want to touch on some of the other features this app provides. You can find these features in the upper left-hand corner by clicking open that side drawer. And you'll see here below the search function, we have the custom and favorites option. So this is where you're going to be able to find your most frequently used foods or foods that you've created on your own. So the more you use this app, the faster and easier it really does get. You can also click on recent or the frequent tabs right below that, and again, the more you use it, the easier it will get. I would also suggest checking out the nutrition label scanner or the barcode scanner on the bottom of the screen right there. In this, you can just simply scan the barcode or the nutrition label on any food item that you have. Again, just remember to double check that the totals match what's on the app to what's on the box. So in a nutshell, this is the My Macros Plus app and how to use it. The last meal of the day can be the trickiest to track. This is because it involves checking your totals, adjusting your portion sizes, and flipping back and forth between the two. But rest assured, it gets easier the more you track, I promise. I've also provided you with a couple cheat sheets to help you when it comes to your food selection, so that if you run out of fats, for example, you can just look to the protein and the carbohydrate lists and pick your foods off of there. I've also provided you with a list of suggestions if you are in need of one single macro so that it doesn't affect your other macronutrients. So I know it may seem pretty overwhelming, but I promise it gets easier. I've been tracking for years and I absolutely love it, and I know you will too. Now with that being said, I will leave you with some tips and that I think will help with the transition and to help you establish that macro tracking habit. Here are 5 tips to help with your tracking macros. Tip number 1, I recommend that you start slow. So at first you're going to want to enter in foods that are one ingredient and that have a nutrition label, so it's really easy to enter. And then as you get more comfortable with the tracking process and with the app itself, then you can get to be more creative with your recipes and complex meals. Tip number 2, I highly recommend that you plan your day out in advance, the night before or even the week before, so that you know exactly what you're eating and you don't have to worry about it on the day of. Now, as you get more comfortable with the tracking process, you will be able to track more on the go to fit with your daily schedule. But until that point, I highly recommend you plan it in advance. Tip number 3, I recommend that you bulk prep your proteins, carbs, and fats on a weekly or consistent basis so that you have nutritional foods to help with the bulk majority of your food for the day. Tip number 4, I highly recommend that you utilize the app's features so that it can speed up your process when it comes to entering in your foods, such as the barcode scanner or the nutrition label scanner. These are going to help speed up the process in which you enter the food. Now just make sure to take a second glance at the nutrition label on the box and make sure it matches what you see on your phone. Tip number 5, just because you can eat Oreos doesn't mean you should. You're going to want to find your own personal balance of high quality nutritional foods and calorie dense foods that might be a little bit more fun or enjoyable in the moment. Nutrient dense foods are going to keep you full for longer, whereas more calorie dense foods won't help with that hunger satisfaction. At the end of the day, there is a learning curve when it comes to tracking macros and using a flexible dieting approach. But I hope these tips and tricks will help, and I promise you it gets easier. Just keep consistent with it and you will find it easier and faster day over day. And if you find yourself stuck on what I call macro island, aka not knowing what to eat with what macros you have left, please don't hesitate to reach out, as I will help you hit your macros using whatever items you have in your house. Thanks for watching. We hope this helps, and we'll see you next time.